up, guys? APT Songs here. Welcome to the No Cap Zone Travel Edition. I kind of wanted to talk today and for a minute now about the Eminem leaks. Now, you guys know back in January, there was a treasure trove of Eminem songs that were unreleased that got released and leaked to the public on YouTube and on all these various other sites and stuff, right? And they were songs that nobody's outside of Eminem and his camp had ever heard before. And out of nowhere, it was these songs, complete songs. Like, it wasn't just like a couple of lyrics here and there. It was like full-on actual songs. And somebody put together a 14-track mix of it and called it Straight to the Lab Part 3, because this is not the first time that a treasure trove of Eminem songs have been leaked. But these ones range from like 99 all the way to 2018. And if you listen to the songs in order, you can tell what era they're actually from based on the way that he was delivering words, the sounds and stuff like that, right? So obviously this is a big deal. And so Eminem's team put out there, hey, somebody's leaking our stuff. We need somebody to help us find this guy. And his fans actually came to play in terms of like being able to point them in the direction of some shady stuff going on between the internet and crypto and money's exchange. The short version of the story is that apparently there was a guy named Joseph Strange, which is already awesome, amazing for the name being weird and strange. But he was, I guess, a sound engineer for Eminem for 14 years between like the early 2000s and 2021. And then he got let go. This guy had one of the hard drives that Eminem and his camp saved music to, because they keep everything in-house. So according to the story that I read, they only have like 4 hard drives that all this music collectively is stored on, you know? And Eminem is the true definition of a studio rat. He stays in the studio and just records. He treats his rap life like a 9-to-5 job. So he goes in at 9 o'clock, sets up the computer and records, goes to lunch, goes back, records some more, maybe makes some beats, does some sound mixing, whatever. But he's been doing this every day since 1999. That is 26 years worth of Lord knows how much music. There's probably like thousands of songs on these hard drives. And so this guy, I don't know if he was a disgruntled employee or whatnot, but this guy needed some money for some kind of surgery. So this dude basically went online and was like, I needed some money. I got these Eminem unreleased songs. I'll sell them. And somebody on the crypto market, or I don't know, whatever it is, there's this guy named Doja Rat, which I also find hilarious. Him and some other Eminem fans raised the money together for him to be able to buy these songs. And then they just got leaked everywhere. I'm not gonna lie. As a fan of Eminem, and his music, anytime anything gets leaked, I'm there, because I want to hear Eminem in any capacity. So when these songs leaked online, my initial reaction was like, oh man, new Eminem, great. And then I heard the songs, and the songs, I, for the most part, love them. Like I could tell the errors they're from. This should have been on Relapse. This one should have been on Recovery. This one over here should have been on the Shady 15 album. Like, it got that detailed in terms of the flow and his delivery and stuff like that, right? And so, as a fan, I'm like, yay, new music. But also, then I think about the fact that Eminem loses out big on this. Like, I know it's hard to think that, oh, this musician has got a whole lot of money. He shouldn't care if his music gets out there because he's already made a lot of money. One, nobody can tell somebody else how rich they need to get. Okay, so I don't shame nobody for wanting more money. If Eminem's got $100 million and he wants $101 million, it's his right in this country to do that with the stuff that he's created, right? But secondly, I don't think people really understand like what actually gets lost when a leak comes out. Because it goes just beyond like, oh, that artist can't now make a CD with that music because it's already out there and who's gonna wanna buy it. There are future monies that get lost whenever somebody leaks something of another artist. And people don't think about that because they just selfishly, they wanna hear the music. Here's some things that maybe you hadn't considered about this leak. So to start off with, Eminem records a whole bunch of songs. Some of those songs are held back knowing that they could be used on future releases. For example, a couple years ago, he released a second part greatest hits album that came out. And so there were like 2 or 3 songs on there that were from the vault that had not come out. He's got stuff in the arsenal whereby if he decides to release a greatest hits project or wants to do a one-off or put out a single for charity or whatever, he's already got that stuff to go to, right? And he might have some songs that he's like, I really like this song, but I don't want to put it out just yet because maybe there's a movie coming out that I'm going to want to put this on a soundtrack to, or somebody wants me to, put this on their album to help promote them or whatever reason, right? And so now he can't use that song. The second thing, for those of you that listen to his entire catalog and then listen to the leak stuff, you will notice several of the songs that were in the leak are songs either that came out but had like different lyrics, or there were parts of some of those unreleased songs that ended up being used as certain verses here and there on future songs. I know, for example, on the Shady 15 compilation, he has a song called Psychopathic Killer. At the end of the song, he says this line:
"About to bust the side door, rock up asylum, and park in the dining room."
But then on another song on the leak called The Ritz, he has that same part, that same lyric in that song towards the end of that song.
"Drive a car through the side of Arkham Asylum and park in the dining room."
This is an example where he didn't release the Ritz song, but he recorded a whole 3 verses to that song and found a specific 2 or 3 line verse that he thought would fit better in a different song that he was able to release at a later time on the Shady 15 compilation. So now picture Eminem's got thousands of pre-recorded songs in this vault that he also has as a way to go to lyrics that he might want to use on different songs. You know, there were songs in there where he's like, okay, like he used certain beats and the song itself was a completely different song that he ended up releasing later on that same beat, but with all different lyrics and choruses. Again, he has a well to go back to be able to make more money in the future should he decide to. But when songs get released, now it's again, the public's already heard it, so unless he does a remix to it with whole new verses and choruses, it's like that song now becomes obsolete. Last thing I'll say is this, is that obviously Eminem in his career has been a very controversial artist. There have been times where he has beefed and he has put out songs that were scathing disses, but they were always his choice to release them, and he knew what targets he could hit and what targets could potentially either put him in danger or affect his bottom line. For example, the song where he's going at Suge Knight. Again, solid diss. I'm glad I got to hear it, but the reality is he did that song on called Toy Soldier, where he said, hey, you know, I went my whole career without ever mentioning Suge Knight, and that's because I respect Dre too much to put that stuff out. I imagine that was the case where he probably recorded the song and said, hey, Dre, how do you feel about this? Dre was like, dude, I'm trying to get away from the Suge Knight stuff, so maybe don't release that. And he was like, all right, cool. But that doesn't mean there weren't other lines that were on that song that maybe he couldn't put out later, or the fact that Haley Jade's voice is on it. Maybe he just wanted to keep a recording of Haley Jade's voice at that age being on a song. But now that song's out, that could potentially, you know, put his family in harm's way or other types of things that we're not even aware of, right? Another example, he had a couple of songs on there that mentioned the whole Rihanna situation where she got beat up by Chris Brown, right? And so he had a few lyrics being jokey and punchy, no pun intended, where he mentioned that scenario and her and Chris Brown and her and him beating her. And obviously they went on to do several songs together. So he could have recorded that when he was in his druggy state and then realized, you know what? These probably should never come out because I don't want to deface Rihanna like that after going through this ordeal, even though I thought it was joking, I was high when I recorded it, but also I'm working with her now. This would not be good for our working relationship. So now picture, it's been like almost 8 or 9 years since Rihanna's released an album, and Rihanna's like, okay, this is the year I'm gonna finally actually release it. I remember me and Eminem had some great songs back in the day, and so I'm gonna connect with Eminem to see if he wants to be on this album. And then this leak comes out where Rihanna hears 2 songs that he recorded where he mentions the Chris Brown and Rihanna beat up thing, and then she changes her mind. That now also affects his bottom line. Hold up, forgot to mention something. Hey guys, future me editing this right now. So I also wanted to point out that, you know, with these leaks happening, that means that anybody that collaborated on any of those songs, whether they were any other producers, sound engineers, or any other artists, also now don't get paid because these songs came out, which means that if there was any chance of them being released on any proper releases, whereby they could collect things like royalties, those things can't happen now because of these free songs coming out, which kind of sucks because, you know, a lot of hard work goes into everything from writing a song, figuring out who to collaborate with, sound engineers to mix and master the sound so it sounds proper when it comes out of the studio. Like, all those people get paid a lot more when those songs are properly released as opposed to when they're being leaked on the internet. So just wanted to add that part in. Okay, back to me. So as much as I am a fan of hearing unreleased music, you guys got to understand that this really does impact an artist's bottom line. It affects his legacy. It affects his ability to potentially be able to help feed his kids should he die. Those songs could have been in the vault where he was like, if I die, they can release these songs and it'll be a good selling album and my kids will still be able to get some money off of my legacy. And now those songs are shot to crap. Now, again, he's got thousands of them in the vault, but you got to understand, a lot of those songs are also experimentations, you know? An artist needs to feel free to be able to experiment with things, knowing that he can put it in a safe place and no harm's gonna come to them, or they're not gonna lose anything financially if they are in fact just trying to test stuff out, you know? There were songs that he was testing certain voices, certain vocal patterns, certain song ideas that ended up getting morphed into other stuff later. And so now, whereas before, like they said in the article, like these are things that were in various states of things where they weren't fully done, they weren't full-fledged ideas, or maybe they were, but they were trying to wait till different times to release them. Now they lose out on that, and that's not fair to the artist. So as much as we fans like to hear new stuff, however we can, we got to really think about, but is that a fair thing to the artist that is trying to make a living off of this stuff? And do we want that artist to stop making stuff and not be motivated anymore, thinking that anytime I record some stuff, it's going to get out there anyway, and I'm not going to be able to live off it the way that I want to, and that's not fair to the artist. Because as a creative myself, I know, especially the older you get, it gets harder to think of songs, to be creative, to try to think of new ideas. You get into this thing where you're stuck in your flow pattern, and you're trying to learn new flow patterns while still not trying to sound like you're selling out. Like, it's a lot, right? So you might record a bunch of stuff that never comes out in the hopes that you're going to find that sound or that one word or that one line that just really kills it. And to have that be taken against your will, it's not fair to the artist, you know? But that's it, guys. Let me know your guys' thoughts. How did you feel about the Eminem leaks? What did you think of the songs? Did you like them? Did you not? Do you think that they should have come out? How do you feel about this shady sound engineer guy that came out and like sold? He only made $50,000 off it. He made $50,000 to do some surgery off of songs that would have made way more money, and didn't think he'd get found out. Like, moron. What do you guys think of all that? Leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, let me know what other things you would like to hear me talk about on one of these shows. I love doing deep dives. I love talking about stuff as it pertains to music and entertainment, controversial topics, all that great stuff. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. That's all I got, guys. I'm ABT Songs. I'm on my way to Vegas, baby. I will catch y'all later. Peace.
I'm slicker than 1,000 baby oil bottles. If you ask him, did he do it? I'm like, yeah, I'm popping models. If you see me on the mic, you know I go at it full throttle. If you hate on me today, then you gon' really hate tomorrow. I'm slicker than 1,000 baby oil bottles. If you ask him, did he do it? I'm like, yeah, I'm popping models. If you see me on the mic, you know I go